NFL free agency day one is off to an insane start. Oh my God, so much is kicking off. I hope you are all doing so incredibly well on this lovely Monday morning. We are live and going to be live for a little bit for the next couple of minutes or so, or at least the next hour. But this is okay. A lot is going on, and we're just going to jump right into it. I don't even know where to start. I guess we'll start with what I feel is the biggest signing of the day. Signing. We say signing, tampering. This is the first time where teams can officially and legally, I guess, publish and communicate and talk about signings. And although trades have still been going on and being made, nothing is technically official until 4 p.m. on Wednesday the 11th. But then again, things are basically locked up. And right now, earlier this morning, a lot went down. Olamide Zaccheaus to the Falcons, I'm seeing now. That was a couple of minutes ago. There is so much going on. But the big move was Kenneth Walker has signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP running back, has signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Chiefs, who many thought at pick number 9 were going to, without a shadow of a doubt, draft Jeremiah Love, are not. Now, if the Saints take him, then he'll stay within the top 10. If not, Love could now fall out of the top 10 because I do not see a world where the Chiefs are drafting running back, which completely changes everything. Michael Pittman has been traded to the Steelers. That is ridiculous. Holy cow. Pittman's been traded to the Steelers. That I feel is so incredibly stunning. This is a really deep wide receiver class, but they bring in Alec Pierce. The Colts are re-signing Alec Pierce, but they're trading away Michael Pittman. So I guess Alec Pierce is now their wide receiver 1, I guess. The Panthers sign edge rusher Jalen Phillips to a 4-year, $120 million deal, $80 million in guarantee. That is an incredible move as the Panthers look to go and win. Laramie Tunsil reached an agreement with the Commanders on a 2-year contract extension. The Rams are bolstering the secondary, which everyone was like, oh, that's their biggest. The Dolphins are signing Malik Willis. Wow. Okay. Let me get back to what I was just saying. The Rams have now brought in 2 former Chiefs cornerbacks. That was seemingly their biggest need for improvement was the cornerback position. It felt like the Rams were going to use both their draft picks on Tennessee corners or corners in general in the first round. Well, they traded one away to go get one Kansas City corner. Then they just signed another one. They get Trent McDuffie. Now they've signed Jalen Watson and have basically rebuilt their corners. So now they still have pick 13 where they could use on Mekhi Lemon potentially and have the most insane wide receiver room of Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and Mekhi Lemon. I guess they could get depth at literally any other position as well. Or they could just trade pick 13, which honestly might be in their... Who would they even trade for, I guess is the question. Wow, that is... So the Dolphins have now signed Malik Willis. I don't know if anybody, if you had seen, but earlier this morning, the Dolphins had released Tua Tagovailoa, and I've shared my thoughts on my radio show and on this channel a bit about Tua Tagovailoa. I think he's a great guy. I really do. I think he's a decent quarterback. He's not the great, and I don't think that he's really going to be going all too far, but my big thing with Tua is that because of all these concussions, and I've spoken to a lot of people that have experience, that know, and the common consensus from everybody is that once you get one, you are so incredibly more likely to get another, and that it kind of just stacks. Once you get one, you're likely to get another, and then another, and that's kind of what's been happening to Tua. And I really don't want him to risk injury and for things to kind of devolve. I had seen Baltimore signs an O-lineman. It's going to be John Simpson who they signed. I thought for a moment that Linderbaum might have signed it, but no, not yet. Let's scroll back and see if we can find some more news. The 49ers are apparently open to trading Trent Williams. Interesting. Romeo Doubs expected to sign somewhere that's not with the Packers. Alec Pierce re-signing. Olamide Zaccheaus to the Falcons. Corner Stokes returns to the Raiders on a 3-year deal. Okay. The Patriots have agreed to a 3-year deal with Draymond Jones. Oh, ooh, interesting. That is a very interesting. The Jets are reportedly in the linebacker market. Of course they are, although I don't know how much they really should be spending. Again, you want to. What has been found is that free agency is best used to kind of fill the gaps and holes on a team where it is needed. But that you don't really want to build your team through free agency. You want to build your team young through the draft and then just patch your holes. It's like you use what you've got, you build up in-house basically, and then you go out to wherever. Like you're building something at home. You use what you got at home, and then you go to Home Depot to get the rest of the supplies you need, basically. Like, you use your draft to build up, and then you go out and you patch your holes. The Giants agree to a 3-year deal with tight end Isaiah Likely. Whoa. Oh, my God. Just as I'm saying, you go into the draft, and then you build out from there. Holy cow. The Giants have just went and gone Isaiah Likely on a 3-year deal. That is massive because this team needs tight end help. Likely's a good blocking tight end. He can also help in the passing game. We know that. We've seen that with the Ravens. But he can also, again, block. He was kind of more of a blocking guy coming up and rising initially with the Ravens while Mark Andrews was doing his thing. The Giants sign Isaiah Likely. I like that. I actually do. I actually do like that. I'm thinking about it because I'm thinking about the draft. I'm thinking about how like Eli Stowers or Max Clare could have been available in the 3rd round for the Giants to take early in the 3rd, but I almost like this more, and then the Giants taking advantage of how deep this defensive draft class is to improve their defense. Neville Gilmore signing a 2-year deal with the Bears. I still think I had done a mock draft late last night, just playing around, and I think even in my mock on the radio show and that I'd released on Sunday that I did with Falco, I had the Bears taking a defensive tackle. I still think they do. Take a defensive tackle. But wow, that is mega. Let's see, is this Michael Pittman, a new 3-year deal? The Steelers are giving Michael Pittman a new 3-year, $59 million deal, new team, new money for Pittman in a contract negotiation. Okay, so the Steelers trade for Pittman, and then they're going to sign him. Seems like kind of just what you do. You trade for a guy, and then you sign him because you want to keep him around for a little while. That is all right. Let's see. Let's see if there's some more things that I might have missed a couple of hours or so ago. Something new just came in, I think. Currently tracking using the great ESPN app. The Vikings have agreed to terms with cornerback James Pierre on a 2-year, $8.5 million. Okay. They could use that corner help, and they go and they get it. $8.5 million per year. Currently using the ESPN app because it's basically taking the Twitter post, which is the most relevant feed. Everybody just kind of posts on Twitter these updates, or X now that it is. But thankfully, ESPN has set up a feed where it's filtering through, and I don't have to worry about going through X and seeing all the fakes, all the wannabe insiders that are making a post that isn't true or isn't confirmed, but they're hoping that they get lucky and they're right, and then they blow up because of it. So that's what's happening. That's what's happening on X, that is, and that's why I kind of don't like using it. But typically, I'm a fan of the score, but it's a lot slower. It's accurate, but it's a lot slower. But ESPN's got a great great little article feed going on their app right now. And so I'm using it, and I'll give them a shout out because it's good and it's working right now, and it's live updating. And so these have been some big moves. First day of free agency. Technically, they are allowed to get agreed to terms and all of this, but nothing is formally totally official until the new season starts at 4 o'clock on March 11th. That is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific on March 11th. But of course, very little chance that a lot of these deals and trades and whatnot change. So because of which, we're going to be sticking and riding with it, and it seems to be announcements are true. And so these are some big changes. Waiting to see what else comes in, but holy cow, what a chaotic day this has been as we wait for more information. But a crazy start. The Cowboys had made a move earlier this morning, trading for Rashawn Gary. So the Cowboys just seem to be building the Packers defensive line for whatever reason. I mean, it's good. What is this? Updates coming in. Let's see. Schefter. Jets reach an agreement today with defensive end Joseph Osai. 3-year, $36 million deal that includes $22.5 million fully guaranteed. Okay. The Jets have gone and gotten themselves an edge rusher. They still need another one, though, so that doesn't put them out of the market, especially with incredible products like Ruben Bain and David Bailey and Arvell Reese, who's kind of a linebacker edge hybrid. We'll see what he ends up doing. He's kind of shifting into becoming an edge rusher. So we'll see where that goes. But okay, that is an interesting move there from the Jets, bringing in an edge rusher. Again, I was talking about how you want to kind of fill in the holes with the free agency, but some teams take a different approach. That's the approach that I would take, is bringing in some veteran older guys in free agency on cheaper deals, certainly to fill in some holes, and then saving that cap space to go big and boom once your team is basically almost there after building up through the draft. We keep running. We keep going. First day officially of free agency, and already some big moves in case you missed it. Kenneth Walker, one of the bigger names, has signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Saints are signing veteran defensive tackle John Ridgeway. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. That's not too crazy of a move, but let's see. The Jets bringing in an edge rusher. So they trade away their edge, get in a D tackle. I like that move by the Jets. And then the Jets go and sign themselves another edge rusher, but they still need more help all over the place. But let's see. Osai, career stats. He's got 4 forced fumbles career-wise, 14.5 total career sacks. So not the craziest, but then again, this isn't a crazy big deal. When we look at in terms of edge rushers, they're the biggest deals defensively. They get paid the most on the defensive side. So when you put that in retrospective, plus again, it's $22.5 million fully guaranteed. That's basically the entire increase to the cap this year anyways. So you can almost picture it like they've just given him that increase. Or it's not even that, actually. It's fully $22.5 fully guaranteed over 3 years. So even the 36 per year divided by 3, that's like $12 million this year. So they still have $10 million of that brand new found. That doesn't even include what they had last year. That doesn't even include the cap space that they freed up through moves that they made this offseason. That's just an extra basically $22 million that they've been handed by the league in the increase to the cap. and they've spent 12 of it on this edge rusher this season. Now, I don't know the full breakdown. It could be less, it could be more based on the structuring of the contract, but to my current understanding, that is roughly where the Jets are with that move, which is, again, I believe a solid move by the Jets. I think that is a productive move and one that is going to prove fruitful for them as they look to kind of rebound this season. They're not going to. They're still quarterback is still a big question. Guys like Tua's now available, but there's a lot of guys. Ooh, Jets add another edge rusher. Whoa. They get Barry from the Packers for a 1-year $10 million. Okay. Kingsley Enagbare signs with the New York Jets on a 1-year $10 million deal. He's got 11.5 career sacks, 4 passes defended, 3 forced fumbles. He's played some linebacker. He's played some edge. He's currently, the last 2 seasons, he's been an edge rusher. So, okay. Kingsley Enagbare signing with the Jets. And just like that, they've got themselves 2 brand new edge rushers. And again, they're still potentially in the running for now Arvell Reese. I think we could potentially rule out David Bailey as an option, although can't fully. You know, you look at the Giants, they've got 3 edge rushers. They had Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and they decided to go out and draft Abdul Carter because they believe that they cannot live without him, which I think was the right pick. I mean, that's what I wanted them to do at the time, was draft Abdul Carter, even with all the other options available last season. So the Jets, they could still take David Bailey, but I think Arvell Reese is potentially turning into more of the sought-after pick as, again, he's able to play some off-ball. He's played more off-ball. He's more of an off-ball guy than an edge rusher, although, again, it's still kind of up in the air to exactly how he's going to play. But the Jets go out and have basically rebuilt their defensive line, and there's the $10 million. So, again, $12 million on Osai, $10 million here with Enagbare, and just like that, the Jets have gotten 2 edge rushers, and all they've used is the free cap that the NFL has handed to them. So the Jets are making some good moves. If I'm a Jets fan, I'd be excited. I really would. I think that these are productive moves. These aren't moves that are going to go and get you a playoff win, let's be real. They're not even going to really make the playoffs, but I don't think that was the expectation. I think the expectation is to see improvement and to see a team that is moving towards playoffs, and that is just simply winning more games than they did the season prior. If you do better than you did the season prior, eventually you do reach a point where it's like, all right, you've got to either equal it. Like it's hard to really do that, but the Jets are nowhere near that point. That point is like when you're in the playoffs and so on and so forth. But continuing to improve upon the season prior is the name of the game for the Jets, and Mitchell Trubisky is signed with the Titans. Random. Thank you, Mike Garafolo. I actually do like Mike Garafolo. But, okay, 2-year deal, Mitchell Trubisky to the Titans. Going to mentor Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's great. I really do. I really liked how Cam Ward had played last season. I think he had played rather well. I think that he needs a lot of help. I don't know necessarily if Mitchell Trubisky helps, but I guess he does because he's a veteran quarterback that can mentor him. So, maybe he does. How much? We'll find out when it comes time for the start of the season. But I do believe in Cam Ward for sure. I think that the Titans need to get him help. That is, get him some better wide receivers. Get him some better running backs. Get him an offensive line. I think that's the most important thing. And I talked about that a couple of weeks ago with my One Thing Every Team Needs to Do on my radio show Between the 20s. Goes live every Sunday morning from 8 to 9 on VIC Radio. You can see a couple of the streams on this channel. I've uploaded a couple of the shows that I either had pre-recorded. I got one live on there. I think that's the one where I did one of everything. And the Jets have made another move. The Jets are going berserk. Demario Davis is a Jet. 2-year, $22 million, $15 million, fully guaranteed. The Jets are going crazy right now. Oh my God, Demario Davis is a Jet. And that's what I'm talking about. You bring in veteran guys on short deals. He's 37 years old, so he's getting up there in age. But you bring in veteran guys on short deals as Demario Davis returns to the Jets. Bring in veteran guys on short deals to be a leader. 14 years in the league. 45 total sacks he's got. 6 forced fumbles in his career. 61 passes defended. A middle linebacker, and again, a great guy if you go out and get yourself an Arvell Reese or even a Sonny Styles because he tested so incredibly well. A great guy to have in the locker room to mentor everybody, but especially that linebacker core and edge rushing group that is inevitably going to be young over the next 2 seasons. The New York Jets are seemingly doing everything right. These are short deals. Okay, these are guys that are going to be here in the short time while the Jets are down, and then when the Jets are built up, they'll have the cap space to be able to go and commit or re-sign a guy or do whatever. But these are great deals. They've franchise tagged Breece Hall as of now, still working on a long-term deal, although quite honestly, they're also just kind of buying time till next season when potentially they could get a better running back or even draft a running back this year as Austin Hooper, tight end, is back to the Falcons for a 1-year deal. Interesting. I'm going to put that in the interesting category. Austin Hooper is a solid tight end. I don't think he's going to be groundbreaking. I know the Falcons, they still have Kyle Pitts, but what they do with him, they don't use him, I feel, to the best of his ability. They really should be using him more like a wide receiver than anything else and get him out there route running. I would almost consider Kyle Pitts a wide receiver, too, on that team behind Drake London. But, it doesn't feel like he's getting the production that and the opportunities that he deserves. But back to the Jets. Back to the New York Jets. Oh, my God. How devastating that all these moves and all this positivity could turn into absolutely nothing this season. But, it could also turn into so much positivity moving forward. I'm saying all this, but still keeping in mind that they probably will only win 5 games. But, that's an improvement. 6 games, that's moving in the right direction. It's better than the season prior, and that's just all you got to keep doing. They had 3 wins last year. You get 5. Hey, that's improvement. The next year you get 8. The next year you win 11, and now you're in the playoffs with a quarterback. Going to be a crazy good draft class next year, and the Jets have 3 first-round picks. As of now, they could make moves and get more first-rounders, quite frankly. But off rip, the big name moves. Just as a reminder, Kenneth Walker is a Chief. Kenneth Walker is a Chief. Holy cow. Malik Willis is a Dolphin. So I had thought the Dolphins were about to commit to Quinn Ewers. Nope, they're not. They went out and they got Malik Willis. I don't know if... I'm looking to see. I'm trying to refine the post. If I could see if they've ex-Packers reach a deal. Willis, yada, 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 when he was drafted, all this other stuff. Okay. There's no confirmation on his... Interesting. There's no, a deal length yet for the Dolphins. And I'm looking for a deal length because, again, this is a 1 or a 2-year deal, then that's one thing. But if this is a slightly longer contract, then it's interesting to see that they're going with that over Quinn Ewers. They don't, I guess, maybe believe in him versus Of course, if this is just a 1 or 2 year thing, then they're bringing in a guy now temporarily to get some wins before then they hand over the keys to the castle to Quinn Ewers. Plus, Malik Willis, a traveled man who has great experience as well and will be able to provide this experience and this aid to Quinn Ewers and to this Dolphins team. So, excited to see where that kind of leads. But so, the Dolphins have gone and gotten themselves a quarterback that they need. They now have a quarterback. Running back Gainwell to sign with the Buccaneers. Kenny Gainwell to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a 2-year, $14 million deal. Rachaad White, free agent, and so Tampa's going to go and bring in Gainwell as a backup to join the running back room of Bucky Irving, Sean Tucker, Josh Williams, and Kenneth Gainwell, RB4 I guess technically going to be competing for RB2 with Tucker. I don't think Williams is going to be in contention for a top spot as, well, he didn't really get much time last year, but also he had a suspension due to PEDs. So we'll see what he ends up turning into, the product out of LSU. But Tampa Bay, keeping some names around. This Tampa team loves depth. I was talking with Jonathan Falco earlier, a little while ago. I had Falco on my radio show this past week. You can listen to that episode, posted on this channel as well. I was texting with him, and he's like, "Oh, Cade Otton signing with the Bucs. So is Kenyon Sadiq still on the table for Tampa Bay at 15?" And I think absolutely yes. I think without a shadow of a doubt, Kenyon Sadiq is still on the table because Tampa Bay loves their depth on the offense. I mean, again, you bring in Kenny Gainwell, so now you have 4 running backs. You have Mike Evans. Well, Mike Evans is now a free agent, but when you had drafted last year they were drafting towards the back end of the first round, but they had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I know he was hurt, and Mike Evans has his injury concerns, but McMillan, and then you had Sterling Shepard, and yet they still go out and they draft Emeka Buka and Tez Johnson. And so fully healthy, they had 6 wide receivers that are all capable of having a prominent spot on this offense. Even when you had Mike Evans, Godwin, and Ibuka hurt, they were still finding ways to produce offensively with Tez Johnson and Sterling Shepard. Not to say anything, Shepard's kind of towards the end of his career, but Tez Johnson's definitely a palpable guy. And so, again, they love their depth on the offense. And so why not go get the most freak of athlete in the most positive way? I say freak in the most positive way. But, again, he's doing stuff that we've never seen a tight end do before, running a sub 4.4 40. Giants to sign a punter. Great. Wait, no. Jordan Stout, no. I love Jamie Gillan, the Scottish Hammer. Why are we getting a new punter? Wait, what? What's up with... Wait, Jamie Gillan? Why are the Giants signing a new punter from the Ravens? Wait, they still have Jamie Gillan. Is he hurt? Did I miss something? The Giants have signed a... What? Oh, he got hurt. Wait, but didn't he return towards the end of the season? I don't know. The Giants have signed a punter. Great. That is fantastic. Bucs sign Alex Anzalone. Yeah, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not drafting a linebacker in the first round. Jonathan Falco, if you're listening, they're taking Kenyon Sadiq because they just went and signed Alex Anzalone to a 2-year, $17 million deal. There goes Tampa Bay getting the linebacker that they need. Tampa Bay's making big moves. That's a huge move for the Buccaneers. That is like number 1 on my board, the must-need thing that Tampa Bay needs to get was a linebacker. And I love the depth of this linebacker class. I think that there's going to be some great options in the second round with Jake O'Day, Jacob Rodriguez, Anthony Hill Jr. could be there. There's some. I mean, Jack Kelly, BYU might have just moved himself up with his agility drills and how agile he is. He could have just moved in the second round, or Bucs get him in the third. But oh my God, Alex Anzalone is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That is a big move. That is a massive move. And that's just Reggie Gillum. Thank you, Mike Garofalo. Reggie Gillum, fullback on a 3-year deal to the New England Patriots. The former Bill is now a Pat. Okay, that's like, I guess that helps. He's a full back, so he can block for Drake May, which Drake May desperately needs some help in the blocking field. The Pats, without a shadow of a doubt, are taking a lineman in the first round. I don't think that is a question. They're taking the best available offensive lineman, period. Doesn't matter where on the line he plays. But wow, these are some huge moves going down. Tampa Bay going bang, bang with Kenny Gainwell, and then about 2 minutes later, they bring in Alex Anzalone from the Lions. Anzalone, great hair. He's got incredible hair. Big moves for Tampa Bay. Big moves from the Jets and the Chiefs and the Rams are having an incredible offseason and are by far my front runners to go and win not only the NFC North, but the NFC as a whole. And for the AFC, I think the Chiefs, with an incredible draft, could be back. They've got 2 first-rounders now to go get 2 corners. I mean, they could straight up just do what the Rams were going to do and take both Tennessee corners now. Or they could end up getting Caleb Downs at 9 and then, again, take like Colton Hood or Avion Terrell, at 29. Or Brandon Cisse. What is this? Another punter. Don't really care, but I'll read it off. Former Vikings punter Ryan Wright is signing a 4-year, $14 million deal that includes $8 million guaranteed with the Saints. Wow, that's a lot of money for a punter. $8 million to punt a football. Wow, that's a lot of money. I mean, if you can boot the ball and you got a big leg, it helps, but $8 million is a lot for a punter, it feels like. But the Saints go and get themselves a punter. So, New Orleans fans, you got a new punter in town. Wow. So big moves coming out today. Let's see. NFL free agency top rankings. Let's see of this top 100. Who's still around? Trey Hendrickson, Tyler Linderbaum, Rasheed Walker, Odafe Owe are all still around, I believe. So that's a couple of the top. Quay Walker, Reek Woolen, Mike Evans still to be announced of what he's doing. But there's some big name guys that have already signed. We wait to hear and see, and I believe that it's going to be maybe a day or two for some of the more higher. It's going to be a couple of days, I feel, for these top guys to go and re-sign. You know what? Why not? I'm gonna throw out some predictions. I think Hendrickson is not signing with the Bengals. Where is he gonna go? Wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs take a splash on him. That would be nuts if Kansas City gets him. But what if he takes a splash? I mean, the Bengals really need him because Cincinnati, without Trey Hendrickson, is the only team in the AFC. What are they? AFC North that don't have a big time edge rusher, because everybody else does. You know, the Steelers, they got TJ Watt. The Ravens, they now have Max Crosby. The Browns have Myles Garrett, and the Bengals got nobody as of now that is a big-name edge rusher. Of course, they could go and take one in the first round of this year's draft. Many think that they're going to go secondary. Many, including me, think they're going to go secondary. But no matter what, they need to pull a 2025 Cardinals, do what the Cardinals did, which was last year the Cardinals only drafted defensive players. They need to do that and go draft a ton of defensive players because they desperately need it. I mean, although they need an offensive line so incredibly badly as well, but they also just don't have a defense. So I think maybe they sign an O-lineman and then they go out and they, or maybe not, honestly. Take that money, go sign a couple of defensive players on a low-year deal, and then use your top picks on O-linemen. We'll see. But the Cincinnati Bengals, they've got a lot of work to do. The Jets had a lot of work to do, but they've done a lot. The New York Jets have made a lot of big moves today. They are movers. They are proactive, and they are getting deals done in the most best of ways. The Jets have made some big moves today, and the biggest one of them all, Demario Davis, the linebacker, formerly with the Saints, formerly with the Jets, is now back with the Jets. Oh, here we go. Commanders are signing veteran corner Amik Robertson to a 2-year, $16 million deal with the $9.3 million guaranteed. So Washington bolstering their secondary, as they're kind of seen as a team that's going to go with the edge rusher of Ruben Bain in a lot of people's mock drafts so far this draft season. So going and getting themselves some corner help and depth at the defensive position. I think the Commanders are as close as you can possibly be to being in a win-now situation with Jaden Daniels, incredible quarterback, but they're so close because they've got the standout quarterback, but they don't have Kobe Bryant signing with the Bears. Safety Kobe Bryant signing with the Bears, and so another Seahawk not re-signing with the team that he just won the Super Bowl with. Interesting. Kobe Bryant signing with the Bears. No current information as to exactly the contract details, but Chicago, another team that needs the defensive help. In my mock drafts, I had them taking a defensive tackle in Caden McDonald. They went and signed a defensive tackle already today, and now they're bringing in a safety. The Bears are another team that need help defensively, and so there you go, Chicago. You've gone and gotten yourself a safety. Going to stay live for another 26 minutes or so. Going to hopefully get to break some more news to you, all you lovely people out there. I hope you're enjoying your lovely Monday. First day officially of free agency, although nothing is totally confirmed until March 11th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. That is when the official season starts, although everything that is coming out now, there is no reason to believe that is not confirmed. It will be confirmed, but at 4 p.m. on March 11th, that's when everything, will technically be confirmed, but as of now, it's safe to say that everything that you are hearing and you are seeing is legit, is going to be confirmed. It is going to be true come start of the season. And so a lot of movers in this massive free agency class. A lot of guys are making moves, and a lot of teams are going out there and bringing in the guys that they want and they need. The Jets, again, 2 edge rushers, Osai and Enagbari, as well as the linebacker Demario Davis. Incredible moves for the New York Jets. Just really, I can't say it enough. I can't say it enough how great these moves are for the Jets. Because, again, they had a great defense. It kind of petered off a little bit last season. And even with the leaving of Robert Saleh, and now we know why, and it's because Robert Saleh is such an incredible defensive coordinator. I mean, look at what he was able to do last year with the 49ers and all the injuries that they had, and still a playoff contending team. And so, of course, now the Titans are going to have, are going to have a solid defense at the very least for Cam Ward with Robert Saleh now there leading the helm, head coach, but again, still going to be most likely his defensive scheme, and he'll probably be calling the defensive plays. The question is now, with Brian Daboll as the OC, how's that offense going to play? Enjoy Tennessee. Enjoy the most lenient offensive coordinator you probably could have gotten in the NFL. But nonetheless, the Jets are making moves. They're building up this defense. They're trying to, again, show improvements. You need a strong defense. That is a non-negotiable. And so they're building it up with some veteran guys. Demario Davis especially. 2-year deal for Davis. So he'll be able to mentor a guy, especially like Arvell Reese. Up and coming, very likely to be taken number 2 overall by the Jets. The Giants, they signed Isaiah Likely. Great move for New York, bringing in a tight end that can block and that can go out and be a threat. Jackson Dart loved throwing to his tight ends last year when he had probably one of the worst tight end cores in the league. Then again, the Giants had one of the worst at almost every single position group besides defensive line. So, another weapon for Dart to use, but also, again, another weapon to defend Jackson Dart. Another guy that's going to be able to block, that's going to be able to protect him, because you've got to protect Jackson Dart. You're quarterback of the future. You can't let him get hurt and have his confidence shaken, although the guy's got moxie, so I don't think that is a real concern. But you've still got to defend him and protect him, and Isaiah Likely helps. It's an improvement from last year, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, do the Giants still go and they take another tight end this year? I don't think so anymore. But time will tell. Time will tell. But as of now, things that the Giants still need to do, offensive line, got to get another guy or two on the offensive line. I really don't want the Giants to do all too much otherwise, because I think that they can go and, they just signed safeties and corners last year. I think they can draft wide receiver. They can draft linebacker. They can draft corners. If they need some more help there, they can draft corners. They can draft everything. And so for the Giants, really, after this Isaiah Likely move, I would not be upset if they go and they get one or two more linemen, offensive linemen, and these guys aren't even the big name guys. Like, yeah, would it be great if they go get Tyler Linderbaum? Sure. But that's going to be a huge chunk out of the draft capital and a big hit on the Giants. And is he going to be huge and really help this offensive line? Yes, absolutely. He's going to help tremendously, but that's kind of a move you make when you're ready to win now, and the Giants are certainly not there. So I don't know how I feel about the Giants going and doing that. But there's certainly other offensive linemen that are available that are slightly cheaper that the Giants could go and get. It's just, again, a matter of doing that. It really is. Even in guys that make the top 100 from the ESPN that are, of course, much further down the board, but guys that the Giants could go get. Kevin Zeitler is a guard. He's definitely a name that is potentially on the cheaper side. Dylan Parham, formerly of the Raiders, I believe he's still available. He's a guy that could be. Spencer Burford, another guy, again, Daniel Faalele, maybe not him, but I probably wouldn't go with him. Braxton Jones of the Bears, and Mekhi Becton of the Chargers. I know he's got injuries and all of that, and he's up there in age, but these are cheaper guys that you can go get to fill the hole as of now for the Giants. These are cheaper guys that you can go get that can be temporary replacements, that could be potential guys to help with creating a new identity, creating a sense of a locker room and an identity and a team and chemistry and all of that. Like, the Giants are basically building from the ground up this season. You bring in Harbaugh, he's a locker room guy. Absolutely. This Giants locker room feels dismantled, feels in disarray, and they need fixing. And so that is, without a shadow of a doubt, a move that they can go and make, as the Lions are signing center Cade Mays. The Lions need offensive help. This is a nice move for the Lions. They can definitely use help on their O-line. The Falcons sign a punter, Jake Bailey. Another punter move. Yay, we love punter signings. Punters are people too. Thank you, Rich Eisen. Punters are people too. Don't forget it. So Jake Bailey signing a 3-year, $9 million deal, $5 million included with the Falcons. So the Falcons have gotten themselves a punter. Don't forget, punters are people too. Once again, shout out Rich Eisen for that great quote. What is this? This is Adam Schefter's post for @PatMcAfee, another punter deal. So shout out Pat McAfee, another great punter. Punters are people too. This is not a laughing matter. Real serious. Punter signings. We've got some great punter signings. You know, the Giants, they just went and they got Jordan Stout of formerly of the Ravens. So the Raven to Giant pipeline continuing. Likely Raven to Giant. Harbaugh, Raven to Giant. Stout, Raven to Giant. You know, let's go. Let's bring in more of these Ravens. Why not? Linderbaum, Raven to Giant. Hey, could be. You know, could be. I'd like that deal. I would. Again, I just talked about how I'm wishy-washy. I'm a flip-flop right now. I'm one side. Part of me is like, yes, let's do it. Let's go get him. And then I'm flipping to the other side. I'm like, but it's going to be a lot of money. So, you know, with the right deal, it could be huge for the Giants to get Tyler Linderbaum. He's a locker room guy, you know. He can definitely help with the rebuilding of this team from the inside and the outside. The outside being more of the on-field. As we wait for any further moves, but a huge start to this day. Stay posted. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go off and continue my day, but I will be sure to log back on or make some shorts and some posts if there's any more big moves. So stay posted, like and subscribe to the channel. I will be sure to keep you lovely people, updated as to all the big signings and big free agent moves and trades. But I just felt I had to come on and start talking. When I saw Kenneth Walker signed, holy cow. I was like, wow. Then more deals started coming in, and Jalen Phillips signing with the Panthers. And I was like, all right, that's a big move. Malik Willis signed, and then all of a sudden, Michael Pittman Jr. was traded. I was like, all right, I got to come on. Some big moves, some big things are happening. I felt the big energy, and then boom. For me as a Giant fan, Isaiah Likely is a New York Giant. And I was like, let's go. And I was so happy that I was here live to do it, to break it. Massive signing for the Giants. A great move for the New York Football Giants, and hopefully some more great things to come. But, you know, this Giants team has struggled in the off seasons. They've made some not so great moves. They went and they signed Daniel Jones instead of re-signing or saving that money to potentially get Saquon Barkley or something like that, although I didn't think they ever would. But then they, another terrible decision, they re-signed last year Darius Slayton instead of saving that money for Wan'Dale Robinson, who's now seemingly going to go a different place. And, of course, that's now led to a lot of people thinking that the Giants should take a wide receiver early in the first round. I say otherwise. This is a deep wide receiver class. There's no reason for the Giants to go out and draft the wide receiver 2 when you don't have the offensive line to block long enough for these receivers to get open in the first place. When you don't have the help that you need to protect Jackson Dart. It's just not there. So for the Giants, they don't need another wide receiver early in this first round. What they need is some O-line help, and that's why I think that they'll go O-line. And again, this is a deep class. Like, if you're the Giants, you could go get Jacoby Lane out of USC, and he looked really good in the combine. You could go get him later in this draft in the 3rd, 4th round as the Falcons sign kicker Nick Folk to a 2-year deal. The Falcons have gotten themselves a punter and a kicker. So Falcons fans, you got a punter and a kicker. Don't worry about it. You've got a punter and a kicker, and a solid kicker at that in Nick Folk. He's a solid kicker. So, you know what? While we're on the topic of kickers, the thing with kicking today is that we're seeing guys like Cam Little hitting 70-yard kicks. And everyone just assumes, well, hell, if these guys can kick 60, then anything within 30 or within 40 or so yards should be automatic. And I say no. I think 30 and in should be automatic. I think 40 and in, 40 to 30, 30 to 40 yards, you should be hitting 85 to 90% of the time. I think 40 to 50 yard range, 75%. 80%, and then 75 is from even less, honestly, 65 from 50 to 60. But majority of your kicks as a kicker are between that 30 to 50 range, which I think kickers should be hitting 85 to 90% of the time. 30 and in should be 100%. That's your free throw that you should be making easily. Of course, we cannot rule out a block. If the offensive line does not, if the line doesn't block, or if it's a bad snap and the laces aren't out, the laces are pointed in the wrong direction, it's not up when it needs to be, the cadence isn't there, or the line doesn't block and it gets blocked, the kick gets blocked, that's one thing. But if a kicker just straight up shanks it or misses it from 30 yards in, terrible. 40 to 30, they miss 3 or 4 in the whole season, 5 even in the whole season, not bad. We shouldn't be getting hard on kickers for missing 2 or 3 here and there from 50 plus. Now, from a little more in, sure. Am I saying this like I can hit a 50-yarder? No. But then again, I haven't devoted my entire life to kicking. Granted, I haven't really played much of any football for that matter. But for these guys, they've devoted their lives to kicking. They should be practicing these kicks every day. So, they should be making them. But time will tell. So, Nick Folk signs with the Falcons. That's the most recent bit of news that we have. I'm going to swing over to Instagram. Let's see if there's any news over on the good old Instagram. I don't think so. Giants sign Isaiah Likely. Loving that. Loving to see that post. Absolutely, you love to see it. The Giants go and get themselves a tight end. And this is, again, in my mind, an incredibly great move for New York. Because the Giants, they need it. They need the help. They do. Let's see. Any new news? Nothing yet. Waiting on just a couple of more bits of information. I'll be able to stay live for 5 or so more minutes, and then I'll have to hop off. But once again, I'll be sure to continue to post. Breece Hall was franchise tagged last week. Let's see. Damn, we sure got a lot of money in Florham Park. All these contracts, dudes signing. Breece Hall just posted on X, laughing about the Jets bringing in the 2 edge rushers and the linebacker. For those of you who don't know, the Jets practice facilities are in Florham Park, not in East Rutherford where the stadium is. That's where the Giants practice facility is. The Titans signed former Giants tight end Daniel Bellinger. So Brian Dable and the pipeline from Giants to Titans. Great. Good riddance. We got Isaiah Likely. The Titans, you can gladly take Dable. You can gladly take Daniel Bellinger. We will happily take Harbaugh and Isaiah Likely. I think the Giants definitely the winners of that transaction. And the Ravens, the ultimate loser. No, I'm just kidding. The Ravens are going to have a filthy defense now with Max Crosby. But those are the kind of moves you make when you're in a win-now situation, you know? That's the difference between win now and win later. Win now, you go and sign yourself and trade for a guy like Max Crosby, and you give up 2 first-round picks in 26 and 27. If you're a win-later team, you're going to trade away your players to get picks like what the Jets did. The Jets don't need Sauce Gardner. They don't need him. Would it be great to have him? Sure. But are these first-round picks even better? And now you can go out and you can go get multiple guys to fill the void, including potentially a replacement of Sauce Gardner? Absolutely, you can. So the Jets have been making some great moves. Now, of course, if they could go and lock up Breece Hall, that would probably be the fan favorite for a lot of Jets fans. But then again, running backs, they're irreplaceable and they're not. It's important to have good running backs, but you could also find good running backs, later in some drafts. Here are some running backs. Emmett Johnson, second or third round guy in this year's class. Emmett Johnson, Nebraska. You've got Jadarian Price. He's going to be available later in the draft. You've got Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, both of Penn State. Jadarian Price is of Notre Dame. All four of these guys are going to be available for the Jets in the third round. In the third round. These are guys that are very likely going to be available. Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, more especially than potentially Emmett Johnson, Jadarian Price. But these are all guys that could turn into something mega in the NFL. Could. The chances of that happening, very slim. But then again, anyone has great potential. Well, anyone has potential to turn into something if you're good enough to be taken in the NFL draft, especially on the first 2 days. And when you look at the NFL now and today, a lot of it is run by committees. It's replacing the production of one guy with two. And quite frankly, if you don't spend the money on the big name running back and instead you go and you draft two running backs, it's potentially going to be the same, or more likely than not, the amount of cap hit you're going to take on with two running backs out of the draft is going to be cheaper than going out and signing the big name guy. So yeah, is it 2 roster spots? Sure. But a lot of teams are negating roster space to two running backs, towards 2 running backs, and having 2 running backs and carrying 2 to 3 to 4. The Buccaneers, they have 4 guys. They've got 4 guys in their running back room. So running back rooms run deep, especially through being taken in the draft. And so that's something the Jets can do. So great. They've franchise tagged Breece Hall. They've got him for 1 more year. $14.2 million this season. Sure. Fine. Great. This year they take a running back potentially. Next year they get a bigger named running back potentially, or they get another guy. He turns into something. Fantastic. You don't need necessarily to have the high-end, top-of-the-line running back. You just need a guy that can run. And what's going to help you is having a good offensive line, which the Jets are building actively right now. The Jets, the last 2 seasons, have taken an offensive lineman in the first round. Olawanu Fashanu 2 years ago. Last season, they took Armand Membu out of Mizzou, Fashanu out of Penn State. So definitely some moves, and we'll wait a couple of more seconds to see if one more signing comes in, one more big move announcement. I've got an unfortunate feeling that something big's going to happen the second that I sign off. Oh my God, nope, something big just happened right before I did. I told you something big was coming, and it has. Holy cow, the Ravens. Free agent center Tyler Linderbaum has agreed on a record deal with the Raiders. The Raiders. 3-year, $81 million, including $60 million guaranteed. The Raiders have signed Tyler Linderbaum. Oh my God. Oh my God. Go defend Fernando Mendoza. Well, you know what? What a move by the Raiders. What a move by the Raiders. You go get Mendoza. Now you could go end up with Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson at 14 to be the wide receiver 1. The Raiders are building an offense. That's for sure. That's for sure. This is how long is it? 3-year deal? Wow. That is, I told you, I knew something big was coming. Right as I go to wrap the end of this live stream of day 1 coverage, the Raiders have signed Tyler Linderbaum. Big news moves. The Raiders get Linderbaum. Kenneth Walker signed with the Chiefs, and Malik Willis has gone to the Dolphins. But the Jets have made some nice moves. They got Osai. They got another edge rusher. They got Demario Davis. The Giants, they went and got Isaiah Likely. Big moves and more to come. If you do want to stay informed and up to date, make sure to like and subscribe. I will be continuing to pump out more content that is either further live streams in the days to come and or shorts of more updated news. And if you want to see any other information that I've dropped, like, subscribe. We got a ton of great information. Some combine reactions. Made some posts about that. Max Crosby reaction. As we see one more bit of news come in. Right as I'm signing off, the Cardinals are bringing in running back Tyler Algier on a $12.25 million deal over 2 years. So right as I'm signing off, Algier signs with the Cardinals. And so with that, I will say goodbye. But stay tuned. More to come, potentially, if something breaks. Make sure to like and subscribe and enjoy the rest of your day. And have a great week. We'll see you sometime in the near future, most likely, as more